Welcome, everyone, to Women Speakers Association's WSA TV show. Today, we're talking about nurturing your way to empowering relationships and results. So, for some, that word is nurturing is an alien term. And for others, we're used to doing that with our family, our colleagues, our friends. Today, we're going to talk about nurturing from the perspective of how you can nurture yourself to address the chaos and any chronic issues you're facing, to bring forth greater health and happiness, fulfilling relationships, personal power, and a sense of living on purpose and success. So I want to welcome our experts today who are going to give us that insight, wisdom, and guidance, and even practical tips for going beyond the barriers and having breakthroughs in our personal lives, our relationships, and get those results we seek. So I want to go and say hi. Hi, Amida.
Hi, Laura. This is Amida Martinez, Abreu Martinez. I am a life and mindset coach, and I am located in Worcester, Massachusetts.
Oh, welcome from Worcester.
Thank you.
And hi, Dr. B.
Hi, Laura. I am Dr. Edna Brinkley, also known as Dr. B, yes, and I am here in Austin, Texas. I'm a psychologist and a women's success strategist. You can find me at brinkleycenter.com.
Well, welcome. I know you have some powerful advice for us today in this topic. So I would go over to you, Armida, and ask, what advice do you have to our viewers for them to nurture their way to great relationships and living on purpose?
Oh, wow. This is something that's so impactful for me because the best advice that I can give anybody is to nurture your own relationship with yourself. I think for a long time, I was expecting other people outside of me to do the nurturing for me, right? So my relationships were very conditional and put a lot of pressure on the people around me. So I wasn't showing up as my best version because I was expecting everybody else to do that for me. And when I started to dig deep and do the work, I realized that your deep happiness and true fulfillment really does come from within you. And everybody says that, and you think you get it because we think sometimes that self-care is self-love, right? We think because we get facials and we get our hairs done and we do all these wonderful things that add to living a good life as self-love. And it's not. Self-love is looking at the deep parts of you, the one that we perceive as dark, and bringing light into that and nurturing that part of us, because no matter what, we're all whole. And we all have to integrate all of our parts, our not so good ones and our good ones. And once you can do that, you learn to love yourself deeply and truthfully. And then you show up for others in the world with an open heart and without any agenda.
So you said something there, bring light to it. How would you do that?
Accepting and getting curious about it. I think we live in a society where it's very taboo for us to talk emotions and feelings. You know, if you cry, big girls don't cry. If you have any type of emotions, let's sweep it under the rug, right? And so we have to learn to actually process those emotions, because when we're kids, especially, we're taught to kind of just sweep them under the rug, not process them. And then we grow up to be these adults who don't know how to handle emotions, and we close off our heart and we don't know how to process them properly. And then I learned during my journey that that's what freed me, is that I was so afraid to open my heart and to look at those parts of myself. But when I did, that's when true freedom came, because then I overcame the pain and the shame and the guilt of the parts of me that I perceived to be dark, right? And so the way that I did that is by getting curious about it and not judging myself for those parts and accepting them and figuring out what that persona was trying. Usually when we perceive a part of us as not being bad, it's a persona that kept us safe for a long time, right? So how can we meet this persona's needs in a positive and empowering way to bring light to it so that it can complete us and really bring life to us?
Beautiful. Well, thank you. Yes, it's important to honor all of our emotions and trust that process. So, Dr. B, I thought you could add to that and tell us what advice you have for our viewers to really nurture themselves to great relationships, living on purpose, getting through these chaotic times.
Oh, yeah. I really love what Armida said. That was very, very powerful. And my 2 cents, I've got 2 things. One, slow down. In this season of enforced stillness, as perverse as it may sound, you're actually being given an opportunity to decide what's truly important to you. And what slowing down does is it allows you to be able to reflect and to contemplate whether you're really living within your values, your beliefs, your boundaries. And if you're not, then to consider whether it's time for some positive changes. Number two is to create a habit of happiness by what you choose and where you focus. Since you're constantly choosing and focusing anyway, I mean, choose and focus on things, people, situations, and events that help you feel good about yourself, your life, others, and the world. Your brain and your mood will thank you.
I love how you position that. Like happiness is a choice, right?
It definitely is, yes.
And so if we're not used to being happy, how do we choose it?
It does take time and it is a process. However, it is something that every day you can choose it. In the morning when you wake up, the first thing you do as soon as you wake up, you can actually say to yourself, I choose happiness for today. And let that be your affirmation, your mantra, your intention, however you want to phrase it. Let that guide you through the day.
I used to do something that was very similar in the morning. I'd sing a jingle to myself in my head that was just made me giggle.
Yeah.
And I do that just because I wanted to choose to start my day on a positive note, no matter what other things were going on in my head. I said, nope, I get to choose how I want to feel. And I think that's really important, especially, and it goes hand in hand with what you were saying and what Amida was saying, right? Is bring light to the situation, slow down, choose happiness. What a formula, ladies.
Yeah.
I love it. So let's talk a little bit about your expertise. Who do you work with and what do you do with them? And Amida, I'll come back to you. So who do you work with and what do you do for them?
Oh, are we talking to me?
Yes, Amida.
Oh, I'm sorry. I work with people. My mission is to help people move beyond fear-based living, right? But I recently targeted more towards people who are going through divorce and separation. And the reason for that was because I experienced divorce and separation as a child. And my parents were not in a really good place at that point. It wasn't really healthy and it caused me some trauma as a child. And then as an adult, I got married, had a few kids, and into my marriage, I realized that it wasn't a good, authentic fit for me. And when I realized that, I had all this guilt and all this shame and all this fear because I was like, I can't do this to my kids. And yet, do I follow my intuition and my gut feeling, or do I stay in a relationship because it's what everybody perceives to be the right thing, right? So it became my passion once I decided to listen to my soul, listen to my calling, and stay true to myself and my authenticity to follow what felt right for me. But now how do I do this in a way that it doesn't affect everyone emotionally and that I can support the people around me? So I'm really passionate about helping that population because I feel like sometimes the kids and everybody involved, and I have a lot of people, I know a lot of people who have separated who don't talk to each other. And I know a lot of times it's a relationship. So you're losing the intimacy and then you're losing the support as a friend, right? So why can't we get rid of the intimacy yet still remain friends, especially if you have kids? Because to me, a successful relationship is not a relationship that didn't work out. A relationship is a relationship that, in spite of not working out, can find a way to keep a friendship blooming, whether there's kids or not. Especially since a lot of relationships do start off as friends. So that's what I'm really passionate about, and just helping people remove fear-based living and choose happiness each and every single day, because it does change your life.
Yeah, it does. That was a great piece of advice. And so do you have any more to your story that you wanted to share about how you came to this work?
Sure. So yes. So what I'll share is, and what got me to this work was actually the healing that I did. So throughout the journey, I still remember the day that I, surrender. I fell on my knees and I was like, I hit rock bottom. I'm like, this is not for me. And I asked for guidance and support, and things started to unfold for me. They say that when the student is ready, the teacher appears, right? And when I finally stopped feeling like a victim, I looked in the mirror, took responsibility for where I was, stopped pointing the finger at everybody else. Then things started to unfold like magically, like things just started to happen in a way that it was beautiful, very synchronistic for a lot of things that happened in my life. But during that time, I was struggling. I really hit rock bottom, and I felt shame. I felt fear and guilt, and I had to dig myself out of that. But when I did, I was like, how do I help others? Because I know there's a lot of other people that struggle through similar situations. And I was in a very dark place. And pulling myself out of that just really opened me up to be of service. And then I need to help others do this, because this is such an amazing place to be. And I was on the other side. I overcame it. And then I decided that I wanted to do this work. It wasn't something that I had thought I would ever do. It was born from my healing and my own experience.
Yeah. And that's beautiful. Thank you for the healing and the work that it brought you to, and the healing you can offer others. So Dr. B, I'd like to learn a little bit more about your expertise. Who do you work with and what do you do with them?
Well, ethically and legally, as a psychologist, I can't share details of how I've helped anyone, but I wanted to talk generally about someone and her name is Chess, and that's not a real person. This is just a nickname, okay? And Chess came to me late one afternoon. She was saying that she was having this fear that one day she'd be found out as a fraud, and you may recognize this as imposter syndrome. Now, briefly, why this happens, it's due to overthinking, which, if not checked, it could lead to feeling anxious, depressed, burned out, or even worse than that. So when Chess and I worked together, we were able to transform those fears, the doubts that she had about herself, and a lot of negative self-talk, transform those into positive beliefs, positive attitudes, and health promoting behaviors. And she became a lot more aware of her unique gifts and abilities, and that helped her actually get who and what she wanted a lot quicker and a lot more easily.
That's great. So would you say you typically work with women, or who's your typical client?
Yes, I work with professional women over 30. And for me, the impact that I want to make with them through how I work is to help these professional women overcome overthinking so they can feel calm and confident, even in chaos.
I love that. Overcome overthinking. Who needs that? You know?
Me?
Yeah.
I'll raise my hand too.
That's beautiful. Well, thank you for your story and example, and for the work you do with women. And, you know, the more calm and confident we get in the world, and the more healing, like Amida, you bring, the more functional our society becomes, the more we can have find more solutions. So that's what we do here at Women Speakers Association. We bring women with messages and solutions and passion to the table, to collaborate, to speak their message and get it out more vibrantly. And so if you want more of that, check out joinwsa.com and join our sisterhood. And I really would love to hear from each of you, Amida and Dr. B. What is the value that Women Speakers Association has been for you? Why don't we go over to Amida again?
Okay, awesome. This time I'm right on point, right? So the Women Speaker Association, oh my gosh, for the first time I met with Gail, and we had this amazing chat, and all the meetings after that we have, like the monthly meetings. There's 3 meetings a month, every Wednesdays. And the first Wednesday is to go over your profile, your speaker profile. And then you have trainings about different topics. And the value that I have gotten, it's immensely. I have built my speaker profile, which is, I have a message that I want to share. I'm on a mission to help people and elevate humanity. And the Women Speaker Association has given me that platform to be able to reach more people, and to do it with a group of other women who are on similar missions is just a beautiful, magical place for me. So I love being a part of this association.
Well, great. Thank you for elevating humanity with us. We love that.
Yeah.
And Dr. B, tell us, what is the value of Women Speakers Association for you?
Well, first of all, I want to give a big shout out to Tamara White in Houston, Texas, and Gail Watson, our founder, because they both took the time out to chat with me about how better to engage the WSA benefits, and one of which was to be on this program. For the future, I would really love to make more connections with women around the world to cross-fertilize our talents and gifts so we can make this a better, more compassionate world.
Bravo. Love it. That's what we're doing here, elevating, making humanity, a compassionate, loving world. And together we can do that. The power of women working together is immense. And so we do that here at joinwsa.com. Also, if you want to see, like Dr. B was saying, and join the events, go to wsalive.com/events or click on the events button there at wsalive.com. We'd love to welcome you to one of our networking events or a Connect and Collaborate, where you can actually meet our global business connectors. So that is our show, ladies. You did amazing. Thank you so much for helping us nurture our way to empowering relationships and results. We'll be back with you next week for another episode featuring some amazing women like yourselves. Thanks, Amida. Thanks, Dr. B. Bye for now.
Thank you, Laura.
Bye. Thanks,
Bye.
Laura. Bye-bye. Bye, Amida.
Dr. B.